We thought we had won. For a single, fleeting moment in human history, we looked upon the invisible world, the world of plagues and fevers, of rotted wounds and dying children, and we declared victory. We were the conquerors, the masters of our own biology, the titans who had finally, decisively slain the giants. It was an age of breathless optimism, a time when it seemed all of humanity's ancient terrors were being extinguished, one, by the bright, clean light of human ingenuity. We had done the impossible. We had tamed the microbial world. Our first great weapon was a cosmic accident, a speck of mold on a forgotten petri dish. When Alexander Fleming returned from holiday to find that mold, penicillium, dissolving a colony of bacteria, he wasn't just observing a scientific curiosity. He was staring at the key to a new world. Before this moment, the world was a profoundly dangerous place. A simple scratch from a rose thorn could become infected and lead to an amputation. Pneumonia was a coin flip for survival. Childbirth was a mortal gamble. This was the world of our great-grandparents, a world ruled by the unseen bacterial giant of infection. Then came the miracle drug. Penicillin and the antibiotics that followed were not just medicine. They were a form of magic. They were a shield that made the modern world possible. Complex surgeries, organ transplants, chemotherapy, all of these milestones of medicine are built on the simple assumption that we can control the bacteria that will inevitably try to invade us. We had, for the first time, a weapon that could slay the giant. And we used it. We pushed back the darkness, and millions, then billions, lived who would have otherwise died. We had conquered the bacterial kingdom. And we didn't stop there. We set our sights on an even more elusive, more ghostly foe, the virus. These were the agents of history's most terrifying plagues. Smallpox, the speckled monster, which killed 3 out of every 10 people it infected and left the survivors scarred for life. We faced this giant not with a drug, but with a concept, an ingenious piece of biological mimicry. The vaccine. We taught our own bodies how to fight. And in 1980, in one of humanity's single greatest achievements, the World Health Organization declared smallpox officially eradicated. One giant down forever. We did it again with polio, a disease that haunted the summers of the 20th century, a viral terror that could steal a child's ability to walk overnight, confining thousands to the terrifying rhythmic breathing of the iron lung. The Salk and Sabin vaccines broke its back. The giant fell. We were on a roll. It seemed inevitable. Science had given us dominion over the very agents of death. We had ended the war. But we were wrong. So profoundly, terrifyingly wrong. We hadn't won a war. We had merely fired the starting gun on an arms race we didn't even know we were in. Our victory was an illusion. Our conquest nothing but hubris. We hadn't slain the giants. We had only taught them how to fight. And in our arrogance, we had inadvertently given them new armor, new weapons, and a new, global-sized battlefield. The age of conquest is over. The age of the new giants, the microbial hegemons, is just beginning. And the first is one of our own making. Imagine a modern hospital. It's a cathedral of science, gleaming, sterile, and bathed in antiseptic light. A patient is recovering from a routine surgery. Everything should be fine, but a fever starts. An infection takes hold. The doctors are not worried. They deploy the shield. They administer our best antibiotics. The fever doesn't break. The infection spreads. They try the next drug and the next. Nothing works. The patient's body is fighting a battle, but the enemy is wearing impenetrable armor. The doctors, for all their 21st century knowledge, are suddenly powerless. They are, in effect, back in 1940, before the age of miracles, watching a simple infection become a death sentence. This is not science fiction. This is the arrival of the superbug. This new giant, the one we call antibiotic resistance, is not a monster we discovered. It is a monster we built. We forged it in the fires of our own success. The mechanism is terrifyingly simple. Evolution in fast forward. A single bacterium can divide every 20 minutes. In a single day, one microbe can become billions. Now, imagine you douse those billions with an antibiotic. Most of them die. But through sheer random chance, a single one in those billions upon billions of copies might have a tiny genetic typo, a mutation. This typo, by pure luck, makes it slightly resistant to the drug. For us, this would be the end of the story. For bacteria, it is just the beginning. While all its non-resistant cousins are wiped out, this one survivor finds itself in a paradise. No competition, endless resources. It begins to multiply, and all of its offspring inherit that same cheat code. In a few days, the patient is now host to an entire new army of resistant bacteria. We take a different antibiotic, and the process repeats. We have, in effect, become a high-speed evolutionary gym, selecting for only the strongest, toughest, most resistant microbes. But this new giant has a second, even more terrifying power. Can share its new weapon. A bacterium doesn't just pass its genes down to its children. It can pass them sideways to its neighbors. This is called horizontal gene transfer. They can literally copy a piece of their DNA, a plasmid, containing the resistance gene, and inject it into a completely different bacterium. It's the biological equivalent of an arms dealer handing the blueprints for a bulletproof vest to every soldier on the battlefield, even soldiers from different armies. A harmless E. coli in your gut can pass its resistance to a deadly Klebsiella pneumoniae. This microbial internet allows resistance to spread at a speed that makes our own adaptation look glacial. They are networking, they are collaborating, and we are the architects of their new kingdom. We haven't just used antibiotics, we have abused them. We've demanded them for viral colds they can't possibly treat. But even that pales in comparison to the real engine of resistance, our farms. To make animals grow faster and prevent infections in crowded, industrial-scale facilities, we feed livestock tons of antibiotics. Globally, more antibiotics are used on healthy animals than on sick humans. These are often the same last resort drugs we need to save human lives. This practice is the perfect recipe for breeding a supergiant. It provides a low, constant dose of antibiotics, which doesn't kill all the bacteria, but does provide the perfect evolutionary pressure to train them, to weed out the weak, and select for the invincible. These superbugs then travel from the farms into our water, our soil, and our food supply. This is the new giant, a monster of our own hubris. We call them by their acronyms, which sound more like secret agencies than existential threats. MRSA, VRE, CRE. MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, has escaped hospitals and now lives among us, a community-acquired predator. CRE, carbapenem-resistant Enterobacteriaceae, is the nightmare bacteria, resistant to nearly everything, even our most powerful last-resort carbapenem antibiotics. When these fail, the cabinet is bare. There is nothing left. The giant we are facing is the end of modern medicine. It's a world where organ transplants become unthinkable, where chemotherapy for cancer is too dangerous, where a routine hip replacement becomes a fatal gamble. The giant is not a single organism. The giant is a concept, untreatable infection. It's the return of the world we thought we had banished forever, a world where the smallest scratch can, once again, be a giant-sized threat. And it is not the only giant re-emerging from the shadows. Another one is moving, and it is moving much, much faster. The bacterial giant is a siege. It is slow, relentless, and built on a foundation of genetic armor. The viral giant is a blitzkrieg. It is a ghost, a whisper, a piece of information that moves at the speed of human travel. The threat isn't that it's strong, it's that it's fast. And our modern, interconnected world is the weapon it uses against us. To understand this new giant, you must first understand what a virus is. It is, perhaps, the most terrifying thing in biology because it is not, strictly speaking, alive. A bacterium is a living cell. It eats, it reproduces, it has a life. A virus is just a package of information, a strand of DNA, or even more commonly RNA, wrapped in a protein shell. It has no brain, no life, no will. It has only one function: to hijack. It is a biological zombie. Cannot replicate on its own. It must invade a living cell, yours or a bat's or a bird's, and insert its genetic code, turning that cell into a mindless factory that does nothing but produce millions of new copies of the virus, until the cell bursts and the new viral swarm is released. This ghost-in-the-machine strategy has a critical consequence. Many of the most dangerous viruses, influenza, HIV, Ebola, and the coronaviruses, are RNA viruses. RNA is a much more unstable molecule than the double helix DNA that makes up our own genome. When our cells copy DNA, they have sophisticated proofreading tools to fix errors. RNA viruses are sloppy copiers. They make mistakes constantly, and this sloppiness is their single greatest strength. Most of these mutations, these typos, are useless. But every so often, a mistake creates a new version of the virus, one that can jump to a new species or evade a vaccine or become more transmissible. This is why you need a new flu shot every year. The virus is not the same one that existed 12 months ago. It is a constantly shifting, evolving cloud of possibilities. It is not one giant. It is a legion of potential giants, all waiting for the right mutation to be born. So where do these new giants come from? The vast, dark reservoirs of the animal kingdom. The overwhelming majority of new and emerging human diseases, over 70%, are zoonotic. They come from animals. There are, right now, hundreds of thousands of undiscovered viruses circulating silently in bats, in birds, in rodents, in pigs. They have been there for millennia, evolving in their own ecosystems. They are not a threat, as long as they stay there. But they don't stay there, because we don't stay here. The new giant of the 21st century is not the virus itself, but the world we have built for it. We have, in effect, turned our civilization into the perfect viral spreading machine. The first component is globalization. In the 14th century, the Black Death, a bacterium, took years to creep from Asia to Europe, moving at the speed of a horse-drawn cart or a rat-infested ship. In 2003, the SARS coronavirus traveled from a single hotel floor in Hong Kong to infect people in 6 different countries in less than 24 hours. A virus today moves at the speed of a jet engine. Our greatest strength, our global connectivity, has become our single greatest vulnerability. The second component is our relentless push into the planet's last wild places. We are not just destroying habitats. We are shattering ancient ecosystems. When we cut down a rainforest, we are not just displacing animals. We are colliding with them. We are knocking on the doors of viral libraries that have been sealed for eons. Every new road, every new mine, every new farm at the edge of a jungle is an opportunity for spillover. That one moment where a virus, after millions of random mutations, finally finds the key to unlock a human cell. This is the new viral giant. This power is not armor, but speed. This battlefield is not a single body, but our network. It's a network-enabled pathogen. COVID-19 was the perfect, tragic case study. A spillover event, likely in a single market, and within 3 months, the entire planet was in lockdown. The giant didn't have to walk from town to town. It took airplanes. It rode our supply chains. It used the very arteries of our modern life as its highways. For all of human history, we have operated under a profound illusion, the illusion of the self. We think of our body as a singular I, a fortress of human cells, separate from the world, fighting off an outside of invading microbes. This is, perhaps, the single greatest misunderstanding we've ever had about ourselves. The truth is far stranger and more unsettling. You are not an I. You are a we. If you were to count all the cells that make up your body, you would find a shocking truth. For every one human cell, there is at least one bacterial cell and possibly more. You are not a human being. You are a walking, talking ecosystem, planet, teeming with life. This giant collection of bacteria, fungi, and viruses, numbering in the trillions, is known as the microbiome. And this inner giant is not just along for the ride. It is, in many ways, the pilot. We are only just beginning to understand what this forgotten organ truly does. We've known for a long time that the microbes in our gut flora, are essential for digestion. They are a chemical factory that breaks down foods, like complex fibers, that our own human cells are incapable of processing, unlocking vital nutrients. Without them, we would starve. But this is just the beginning. The microbiome, it turns out, is the drill sergeant for our entire immune system. From the moment we are born, passing through the birth canal, our bodies are seeded with our mother's microbes. These first colonists begin to train our naive newborn immune cells. They teach our immune system the most important lesson it will ever learn: the difference between friend and foe. They show our immune cells what a harmless pollen grain or piece of food looks like, teaching them not to overreact. They also train them to recognize and hunt down true pathogens. Without this microbial education, our immune system is like an army with no training, shooting at shadows or even at its own soldiers. And here is where the story takes a turn into science fiction. This inner giant isn't just managing our digestion and our immunity. It appears to be pulling our strings. This is the gut-brain axis. The bacteria in your gut are not silent. They are a bustling chemical factory, and they produce hundreds of neuroactive compounds. They manufacture dopamine. They manufacture serotonin. In fact, over 90% of the body's serotonin, the happy chemical that regulates mood, is produced in the gut, heavily influenced by the microbes living there. This inner giant is communicating directly with your brain, influencing your mood, your anxiety levels, your stress response, and maybe even your cravings and thoughts. The giant inside us is a co-author of our own consciousness. We are not a fortress. We are a superorganism, a chimera of human and microbial, so completely intertwined that it is impossible to say where they end and we begin. But this beautiful, ancient partnership is now in catastrophic danger. We have spent the last 100 years trying to conquer the microbial world, and in our sterilization-obsessed, antibiotic-saturated, processed food-fueled modern lives, we have been carpet-bombing our own inner giant. Every time we take a broad-spectrum antibiotic, it's a firebomb in the gut. It kills the bad bacteria causing a sinus infection, but it also incinerates vast populations of the good bacteria, the essential educators and managers of our body. And they may never fully grow back, or they may be replaced by less helpful species. Our modern diets, high in sugar and processed fats and low in the fiber that our microbes eat, are effectively starving our most important allies, while feeding the inflammatory ones. And our obsession with sterility, our hygiene hypothesis, may be the most damaging of all. C-sections, while often medically necessary, bypass that crucial seeding in the birth canal. Our hyperclean homes and lack of exposure to dirt and natural microbes in childhood mean that our immune systems never get to go to school. The result? Our immune system, untrained and confused, becomes paranoid. Lacking real enemies to fight, it starts attacking phantoms. It sees a harmless peanut or a speck of pollen as a mortal threat. This is the explosion of allergies. Worse, it begins to attack us. It attacks the lining of the gut, causing Crohn's disease. It attacks the nervous system, causing multiple sclerosis. It attacks the joints, causing rheumatoid arthritis. These are the modern plagues of autoimmune disease. We have disturbed the giant within. And in its confusion, in its desperation, it is helping to tear our own house down. We are learning too late that this internal hegemon is not an it. It is us. And our survival depends not on killing it, but on healing it. But even as we grapple with this internal crisis, our new understanding of the microbial world has unlocked one final, terrifying, and awe-inspiring power. If we can't beat the giants, maybe we can become them. We are surrounded. We face bacterial giants we armored, viral giants we unleashed, and an inner giant we've nearly destroyed. The age of simple solutions, of magic bullets, is over. But from the heart of this crisis, a new and profoundly different kind of power is emerging. We are not just victims of the microbial hegemons. We are becoming their masters. We are learning to harness their ancient, billion-year-old weapons and wield them for ourselves. We are learning to ride the giants. The first of these new, tamed giants is the nemesis of our oldest foe. For every bacterium on Earth, there is a virus designed to kill it. They are called bacteriophages, or simply phages, the bacteria eaters. They are the most numerous life form on the planet, and they are the universe's most perfect assassins. A phage is a microscopic, spider-like entity that is hyperspecific. It is designed to hunt and kill only one specific strain of bacteria. It will ignore every other cell in the universe, including all of our human cells, to find its one single target. When it finds its target, it latches on, injects its own genetic code, and, just like a human virus, turns the bacterium into a phage-making factory. Within an hour, the bacterium bursts, releasing hundreds of new phages that go on to hunt down the rest of the infection. An antibiotic is a carpet bomb, wiping out everything. A phage is a guided missile. This is phage therapy. And it's not new. It was discovered in the early 20th century, but in the West it was completely abandoned when our magic bullet, penicillin, arrived. It was too complex, too specific. But in the Soviet Union, cut off from Western antibiotics, they never stopped. For decades, researchers in places like Tbilisi, Georgia, continued to perfect the art of using viruses to cure bacterial infections. Now, as our antibiotics fail, the West is scrambling to rediscover this lost science. The stories are astonishing. A patient with a system-wide superbug infection, given up for dead. Doctors get emergency approval to create a phage cocktail targeted specifically at the patient's bacteria. The mixture is administered. The infection, which had resisted billions of dollars of modern medicine, simply melts away. We are, at last, using a good virus to kill a bad bacteria. We are using one giant to slay another. But even this pales in comparison to the second power we have stolen from the microbial world. This tool is not just a new medicine. It is, quite possibly, the most powerful technology humans have ever discovered. It will change what it means to be human. And we did not invent it. We found it inside a bacterium. It is called CRISPR. For decades, scientists had noticed strange, repeating sequences of DNA in bacteria. They called them clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, or CRISPR. For a long time, no one knew what they were. The answer was a revelation. It was a bacterial immune system. For eons, bacteria have been at war with phages. When a phage attacks a bacterium and fails, the bacterium does something incredible. It remembers. It takes a snippet of the virus's DNA and pastes it into its own genome in that special CRISPR section. It's a most wanted gallery of past invaders. Then, it creates a weapon, a protein, most famously one called Cas9. This protein is a molecular scissors. The bacterium arms this Cas9 scissors with a copy of the viral DNA snippet like a search query. This guided missile now patrols the cell. If that virus ever attacks again, the CRISPR-Cas9 system finds the invading DNA, matches it, and, with molecular precision, cuts it. It snips the virus's DNA, neutralizing it instantly. It is a biological search and destroy system. And now it is ours. We have harnessed this ancient microbial weapon. We can now give the Cas9 scissors any search query we want. We can send it to any gene in any organism, a plant, a mouse, or a human, and tell it to cut. We can edit the code of life itself. We are using this bacterial giant to do the previously unthinkable. Delete the gene that causes sickle cell anemia. Edit the mutation for cystic fibrosis. Engineer crops that are immune to drought. We are wielding the giant's own weapons. We have taken fire from the microbial gods. This is a power of unimaginable promise and unimaginable peril. We are no longer just fighting the Hegemons. We are using their power to become Hegemons ourselves. This fundamentally changes the game. The war is not being won. It is being transcended. And it leaves us in a new world, with a new and final truth we must accept. We began our journey in the bright, naive optimism of the 20th century, believing we were conquerors, the undisputed masters of our world. Where are we now? We are humbled. We've seen the giants we thought we'd slain rise again, clad in new armor we ourselves provided. We've seen our world of speed and connection turned against us, creating viral giants that can circle the globe in a day. We have looked inside ourselves and found that we are the giant, a complex, confused ecosystem we have brought to the brink of collapse. And finally, we have reached into the heart of the microbial world and stolen its ancient, elemental power, a power to rewrite life itself. The war is over. Not because we won, but because the entire premise of the war was wrong. We were never and could never be the conquerors of the microbial world. We are a part of it. We are a product of it. And we are, at best, junior partners in a system of life that is billions of years older, vaster, and more powerful than we can truly comprehend. The microbes are the true hegemons of this planet. They are the unseen rulers, the alpha and the omega of biology. This realization leads us to a new and final philosophy, a new way of seeing the world that is now our only path forward. It's called the One Health concept. It is the simple, radical idea that the health of humans, the health of animals, and the health of the environment are not three separate things. They are one thing. They are a single, interconnected system. You cannot solve the giant of antibiotic resistance by only looking at a human patient in a hospital. You must look at the farm, where the antibiotics are being overused on livestock. You must look at the soil and the rivers, where the resistant bacteria are flowing out into the environment. You must see the whole system. You cannot stop the next giant pandemic by only designing a faster vaccine. You must look at the rainforests being cut down, at the illegal wildlife trade, at the spillover events that are happening with increasing frequency. You must protect the ecosystem because the ecosystem is our global immune system. You cannot cure the giant of modern autoimmune disease by only creating stronger anti-inflammatory drugs. You must look at our internal giant, the microbiome. You must ask how we can heal it, how we can be gardeners for our inner world, not just warriors against it. This is the new hegemony. It is not our rule over them. It is our forced acceptance of their rule with us. The microbes were the first life on this planet. They have survived every extinction, every catastrophe. They will be here long after our cities have turned to dust. They are the true, permanent giants. Our brief age of conquest was a child's dream. We are awake now. The future of humanity will not be defined by victory. It will be defined by management, by wisdom, by stewardship, and by a new kind of surveillance, not just of our enemies, but of our allies and of ourselves. We must learn to coexist. We must learn to tend the complex garden of life, both around us and within us. The giants are here. They are us. They are everywhere. And our survival depends on learning, finally, to live in their world.